Did you print out the PowerPoint thing? No. Okay, I'll put it out. Well, okay, so we're going to start. So, where are, I guess I'll just read them off here. I don't, you have a listing of all 15 of them? You sent it to me in a text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 13. That's a new number. Okay, so I guess just walk up here and have to. Okay, I'll go get it. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. This must be a great day to start a business because on June 16th, 1903, Ford Motor Company Incorporated, and then in 1911, so did IBM. Let's get started. Ricky McBride is going to lead us in our invocation, and past President Doug Briley is going to accompany us for the national anthem.
Do bow with me. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for this beautiful day, Father. We're thankful for the rain you provided. Father, just be with those that have the storm damage, but thankful for the rain that beautifies your earth, Father. And we're thankful for this food and pray you'll bless it to the nourishment of our bodies, that we can go about doing your service and that we can be good business colleagues with all the members here. Just bless all our businesses. And again, thank you for all you do for us and all the blessings. In Christ's name, amen. Sing and you sing, my long early light, so proud in the air, at the twilight's last gleaming, with your stripes and bright stars, through the perilous night, o'er the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the monsters singing there, getting through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
There's wild gusts of wind up here. And now, Dr. Joe Michaels, Managing Principal Solomon Bruce, to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It is indeed my privilege and pleasure to introduce many of our guests here today. Sally Parmalee is here with Bob. Sally, way on there in the back. Brendan Harrington brought Tim McIntosh. Tim. Blair Hancock brought Doug Weller. Doug. Jim Austin from Jim Austin Online always brings a couple of guests, and we're fortunate today that he brought Chris Irvin. Chris? When you're with Jim Austin Online, they always travel in pairs like missionaries. So Nancy DeLeon is here. Nancy, glad you're here with us as well. Lou Ellen Martin brought Fred Rabelais. Fred? Connie Blake brought Corey Harris. Corey? Kyle Partain was able to come with Desiree Partain. Kyle? Way over here. Scotty Hackler brought Tim Hardy. Tim? We're fortunate to have a visiting Rotarian. Perry Eggleston is with us from the Davis, California Club. Perry? And last but not least, Jason Ellis is here as the Senior Vice President, Plains Capital Bank. Jason? Madam President, those are all our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, Joe. And speaking of Scott Hackler, am I the only one that didn't know tomorrow our own Scott Hackler is getting married? He's got his brother or his father-in-law with him today. Had I known, any excuse for wedding cake. Our love and best wishes follow you, Scott. I will be thinking of you tomorrow very much. And now we would like to thank our sponsor, Mack Kimball Buildings. The Rotary Foundation transforms your gifts into service projects that improve lives both close to home and around the world. Its mission to help Rotary members advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, and alleviating poverty through work, capitalism, and agriculture. Your charitable donations to the Rotary Foundation are cumulative. At $1,000, Rotarians become Paul Harris Fellows, and major donors at $10,000 and beyond. Donations on behalf of others also make great gifts. Now and throughout the year, shall we all put our money where our hearts are and give to the Rotary Foundation. Thank you, Mac, for sponsoring this Paul Harris Foundation or Fellow message. And now the 24 words that help define us as Rotarians. Of course, we recite them together each week. That is the four-way test. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, we've got Mitch Reitman with a short newscast. We have a jam-full schedule today. So let's hear the most pressing news. He is the principal with Reitman Consulting Group. Take it away, Mitch.
In April, I was appointed emergency temporary newscast chair, so I reached out to 60 Rotarians, and only 4 agreed to do one. So luckily, through holidays and special speakers and the toast, we had just one open spot, so here I am again. And unfortunately, I've been traveling. We have a big meeting today, so this is going to be a very short newscast. Of course, first for the weather, it's hot out there. It's so hot that Special Prosecutor Jack Smith went to see Donald Trump just to get a cold stare. It's so hot that Donald Trump went to see Mike Pence just to get a cold shoulder. First, for some real news. Monday is Juneteenth. The holiday can be summarized in the words of Harriet Tubman. I crossed the line, I was free, but there's no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. So happy Juneteenth, and welcome to Fourth Rotary, where there are no strangers. All right. We will temporarily suspend the four-way test now. Of course, the biggest news this week is that Donald Trump, that a grand jury voted to indict Donald Trump. Joe Biden called to congratulate him on finally winning a popular vote. Senator Lindsey Graham said he would rather jump off a tall building than to turn on Donald Trump. Meanwhile, women said when they hear the words turn on and Donald Trump in the same sentence, they want to jump off a tall building. In computer news, the world's top Donkey Kong player, remember Donkey Kong, has been convicted of cheating. The judge was going to sentence him to life, but then his attorney pointed out he has no life. The World Air Guitar Championships were held in Los Angeles this week. If you're not familiar with air guitar, it's a competition where grown men stand on a stage and pretend to play the guitar and are judged at how well they lip sync and dance around the stage to pre-recorded music. Real guitarist Eric Clapton was the keynote speaker. He said, "You have traveled from all over the world to be here today. You are air guitar. Many of you have given up your jobs, your social lives, even your families for air guitar. So remember, in air guitar, there are no winners and losers, just losers." In Keystone, Colorado last Saturday, competitive eater Joey Chestnut set a record by eating 3 pounds of bacon in 4 minutes. He then flew to the Prune Land prune eating contest in San Jose, California Saturday night and downed 163 prunes in 5 minutes. Sunday morning, Mr. Chestnut set another record. And finally, this is the first newscast since King Charles' coronation. It was spectacular. In fact, thousands of Americans woke up at 4 a.m., turned on their TVs and said, "What am I doing with my life?" That's why I didn't watch it. So the weather calls for possible severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. If there's a tornado warning, the experts say, go to the Cowboys practice facility in Frisco where there's absolutely zero risk of a touchdown. Thank you. Have a good meeting.
All right, that's well done, especially if you had to write them like 5 minutes ago. That's fabulous. Okay, we've got some grant awards. Don Marable, are you here to announce? We've got the Boys and Girls Club of Tarrant County, Meals on Wheels Tarrant County, and Fort Worth Youth Orchestra. Our club, all of you in our spring grant cycle, we gave $59,500 worth of grants. Here we go.
Thank you very much. So Elliot Goldman couldn't be here today, so y'all are stuck with me. Sorry. I was talking with Aurora earlier, and during this cycle, these 3 $5,000 contributions we're going to make today will put us over $100,000 for our year in grants. So congratulations, everybody in the room. So first up, I'd like to bring Matt Sinclair from the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you very much. And then Andrew Reynolds from the Fort Worth Youth Orchestra. And I saved this one for last because my wife actually drives for Meals on Wheels. So she does the Tuesday route in Crowley and Thursday. So Mason Jindal, come on up. Oh, photo op.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Windy up here. And now, Vice President Rebecca Montgomery, who is also our president nominee and principal at Montgomery Strategies for 4 first readings.
Thank you, Madam President. Today we have 4 first readings. Proposed members are Courtney Garvey. Courtney is the Director of Community Engagement with the Fort Worth Sister Cities International. Classification, nonprofit. Proposer, past president, Carlo Capia. Our second first reading is Erica Ramos. Erica is a co-founder of Game Theory Restaurant and Bar and a Rotary Minority Business Award winner. Classification, restaurant. Proposer, Richard Knight. What number are we on, Adrian? Third. Our third first reading is Raymond Scheidler. Raymond is the Director of Internal Audit at Anderson Holdings. Classification, Diversified Holding Company. Proposer, Randall Fluke. What number are we on? Our fourth first reading is Samir Vaidya. Samir is the Dean of the School of Business Administration at Texas Wesleyan University. Classification, higher education. Proposer, Jared Sloan. If no written objections are received in the Rotary office by June 23rd, these proposals will be given second readings and voted on by the club.
And don't go anywhere because we love new members, and now we've got 7 second readings.
Hey, everybody, I didn't know it was a program, so I'm going to need some help. Our first second reading is Daniel Pullen. Daniel is president of Texas Christian University. Classification, higher education. Proposer, President Sean Snell. I move his election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
All in favor? Any opposed? We welcome President Pullen.
Our second reading is Nicole Upton. Nicole is the CEO and managing broker of Upton Real Estate. Classification, real estate, residential. Proposer, Jim Austin. I move her election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
All in favor? Any opposed? Welcome, Nicole.
What number? Y'all are good. Our third second reading is Travis Haynes. Travis is AVP Commercial Banker at Truist Bank. Classification, Financial Services. Proposer, past President David Campbell. I move his election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
All in favor? Any opposed? We're delighted to welcome another member.
Jim Austin? What number? Right. Our fourth second reading is Ernest Carradine. Ernest is a COO of Human Interactive Technologies. Classification, digital transformations. Proposer, Jared Sloan. Oops, sorry. I move his election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
All in favor? Any opposed? Welcome, Ernest.
Our fifth second reading is Cheryl Gillahan. Cheryl is the CEO and co-owner of Cause Labs and a Rotary Minority Business Award winner. Classification, web services. Proposer, Richard Knight. I move her election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
I hear the second. All in favor? Any opposed? Welcome once again.
We're almost there. Larry, what number are we on? That's right. Our sixth second reading is Rosa Verdeja. Rosa is principal attorney at the law office of Rosa Maria Verdeja and a Rotary Minority Business Award winner. Classification, legal. Proposer, Richard Knight. I move her election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
I hear it. All in favor? Any opposed? Welcome, Rosa.
All right, everyone. That's right. Our seventh and final second reading of today is Corey Hurd. Corey is a CEO of Human Interactive Technologies, classification, digital transformations. Proposer, Jared Sloan. I move his election subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
I hear that second. All in favor? Any opposed? Welcome to all 7 of our new Rotary members. Thank you, Rebecca. And now we have a new member introduction. Pam Cannell, could you please join me on stage with Desiree Partain?
Madam President. I am pleased to introduce to you Desiree Partain. Desiree was born and raised in San Diego, California. She always felt led to serve the community and help others, and began her career in emergency medical services in 2002 as an EMT on an ambulance. Desiree became certified as a paramedic in 2006 and moved to Fort Worth to work at MedStar in 2009. In 2016, her family was personally affected by suicide, which launched her desire and passion to pursue mental health and suicide prevention strategies for first responders and the community. Desiree formed the first corporate first responder peer support team called the Hope Squad in 2017 at MedStar. She transitioned to her current role as MedStar's Transformation Manager in 2021, where she focuses on enhancing internal and external stakeholder experiences, culture, engagement, and innovation. Her proudest and unofficial title, however, is MedStar's Mama Bear. Desiree is married to a Fort Worth Police Department officer. Kyle, thank you for joining us today. And they have 4 kids and a golden doodle. They enjoy camping where they aren't constantly hearing lights and sirens. Please welcome Desiree Partain.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. I know I only have a short amount of time, but I do have a confession. My confession is that when I first moved out here 14 years ago, I was not a fan of Fort Worth. So let me give you clarity. I know. So I drove out here from San Diego, and I remember getting in El Paso, and I was like, yes, I made it to Texas. And then I kept driving for hours. So I was a little burnt out by the time I got to Fort Worth. And I remember driving in, and our old headquarters in Fort Worth was off of Berry and 35, and I jumped on an ambulance, and everyone was like, you have such a thick accent, and all the California jokes, and seeing some of the worst things when I was on the ambulance. So I didn't have the best perception. But I will tell you that there's something about this town that just draws you in. And I will say that part of my story, I think part of what drew me in was a cute police officer that I happened to meet on a call. But now I am fortunate that I can say I'm blessed to not only serve in a town that I get to walk into complete strangers' homes and help them. And now I'm in a role where I get to help our helpers. And I'm just blessed to be able to do so. So thank you guys for inviting me to this. Thank you.
Welcome. And now we have, I think, 14 Paul Harris Awards. So just for expediency, if you wouldn't mind, if I'm going to call names, and if you could just approach the stage and we can present them individually then. Karen Anfin, Luella Baker Martin, Catherine Bryan, Maddie Compton, Carol Del Real, President-elect Kirk Driver, Mike Herman, Byron Kyle, past President Courtney Lewis, Don Marable, Joe Michaels, Bob Parmalee, myself, it's about time I joined this party, and Roger Yandel. Oh. There's some kind of a crazy current up here today. The papers keep blowing. Luella has she has a little special something, so I'm gonna have you come stand right over here with me. Okay. Right over here. And Catherine Bryan. Thank you. Yeah. And Mike Herman. Thank you. Karen Ann. Maddie Compton. Thank you. Carol Doe. Thank you. President Driver. Arthur. Thank you. How are you doing? Thank you to all, and Luella Martin, here you go. I wanted to let you know that in May, Luella also became, in addition to this Paul Harris senior level pin, she became a major donor, so we tremendously appreciate that. We know that she's so generous throughout the community, including here at Rotary, and to all of our Paul Harris fellows, thank you so much. And I expect to see everybody wearing these pins. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Yes. You know, Luella's in great company. Oh, we're gonna try and, you think it won't? Should we go right in front? Please. We're gonna go in the front. Thank you all. There was just not necessarily a time-efficient way to do that, but what a tremendous accomplishment. We've had many this year. And if you are a Paul Harris Fellow, can you please stand now, including all of our new Paul Harris Fellows? Thank you all. You know, Luella is in great company. She joins a handful of fellow Rotarians who are major donors to the Rotary Foundation, Rotarians like Van Cliburn, Matt Kimball, and Ryan Jodish. Thank you all. And there's one more thing. Speaking of remarkable Rotarians, let me tell you about another remarkable Rotarian. It was 1963, and Frank Durham Jr. was club president. It was an adventuresome year. The club started the Yellow Rose ceremony for the long-distance Rotarian. They conducted fireside chats in the homes of selected Rotarians, with the entire club invited to attend. And President Frank fell off the two-tiered dais when Governor John Connolly, Fort Worth Mayor Bayard Friedman, and Dallas Mayor Earl Campbell, all three presented the program. This was the year that the LA Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in the World Series. Nicholas won his first Masters golf tournament. Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space. America went to the movies to see Dr. Strangelove and Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, while they watched My Favorite Martian, McHale's Navy, and Petticoat Junction on TV at home. What a simpler time. It was an age of romance, and some of the hottest hit songs included Blue Velvet, He's So Fine, and Call Me Irresponsible. But it may be the year we also lost our collective innocence. You see, historians also called 1963 the year that everything happened. The March on Washington and MLK's I Have a Dream speech, the JFK assassination, US Supreme Court ruling that local governments could no longer require the Lord's Prayer or Bible verses in schools. It was the start of Beatlemania, and incredibly, this is the year that zip codes were also first implemented in the United States. But in July of that year, a fella showed up and he completed an application that looked something like that. Have you published a book? No. Poems or other literary work? No. Are you a hole-in-one golfer? No. Do you sing? No. Do you play musical instruments? No. Other information of interest? None. But here's what we did find out. His hobbies involved stamp and coin collecting. That is, he's a numismatist. He went to the Missouri School of Mines and Metallurgy. He went to Ridgely Presbyterian. And before coming to Rotary, he was already a member of the Petroleum Club, the Fort Worth Club, the Petroleum Engineers Club, president of the Ridgely Swimming Pool Association, and on and on. He was also vice president of the Wilson Exploration Company with two little ones at home. Karen Ann was 7 and Byron was just 4. Turns out, if you read that old application, you had to have a reputation for integrity, and his character were above reproach, and he was also socially acceptable. We know this to be true because on August 2nd, 1963, Byron Kyle became a Rotarian, and he's been a member ever since. And if you can count, that's well over 50 years. And so we want to recognize him today in this historic 110th year of our club's existence, because he is one of just 6 current Rotarians who can make that 50-year claim. And I would like to please have him approach me one more time. He already has one, or at least one Paul Harris. He's going to have yet another. This is an honorary Paul Harris Fellowship bestowed by your grateful fellow Rotarians.
Well, it's been a great 60 years, and my best recommendation is you guys get your checkbooks out, make it out to Paul Harris Fellow, and 60 years from now, you can get one of these pins. Where'd you go?
I'm right here. Is that good?
Right. I'm really impressed with the video that Tommy Law puts out. He does a fantastic job. I've been a little lax coming downtown to meetings because it's too easy to watch it on the video on Fridays. But I've always enjoyed being with you boys and hope to get back more. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. And now Lauren Prier. She's Director of Transportation and Public Works, City of Fort Worth. We want to get on with our program. Here we go.
All right, well, I don't know about y'all, but I am glad times have changed because I don't know I would pass the socially acceptable metric today. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Michael Thacker. He was named Executive Vice President of Innovation and Commercial Business in June 2020 and is a member of Bell's executive leadership team. He is responsible for all commercial programs, new product development, global sales, and customer support and services. Michael has held leadership roles in engineering at Textron Aviation and Cessna. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Master's of Science from Kansas University, an MBA degree from the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. Please welcome Michael.
Well, thank you for that kind welcome. As noted, I am Michael Thacker, and I do have the privilege of leading the commercial business for Bell. I've been with Bell for 6 years, but I've been in the aviation industry for over 30 years. And it's an exciting time for the industry at large with numerous technology advances that are driving changes, both in what's possible for the products and what's possible for the operations. It's particularly exciting at Bell with our recent win of the U.S. Army Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft Program, a huge win both for Bell and for Fort Worth. For those of you not familiar with Bell, we've been around for over 80 years. Bell Helicopter was born in 1941 when Larry Bell saw a small helicopter model designed and built by Arthur Young. In just 6 months, an amazing time frame, the team designed and constructed the first Bell helicopter officially designated the Model 30. The first flight was on December 29th, 1942, and the rest, as they say, is history. Bell is now an industry leader with unmatched name recognition. Bell was the first to certify a commercial helicopter and has delivered more than 35,000 aircraft to customers worldwide. While Bell was founded originally in 1935 in Buffalo, New York, the helicopter division of Bell Aircraft Corporation moved to Fort Worth, Texas in 1951 and became the Bell Helicopter Corporation. Soon after moving to Texas, Bell began creating the next evolution in vertical lift, the tilt rotor. The tilt rotor takes off vertically, like a helicopter, and then transitions to winged flight like a big turboprop. In the 1950s, Bell flew the XV-3, the first tilt rotor experimental aircraft, with a fuselage-mounted engine that drove tip-mounted rotors through drive shafts that ran the lengths of the wings. That was followed up in the 70s by the XV-15 with the engines and the rotors mounted directly on the wingtips, and eventually in 1983 led to the Bell-Boeing win on the JVX contract for the development of the V-22 Osprey. The first Osprey rolled out of the Bell Flight Research Center in Arlington, Texas in May of 1988. A few hundred Texas-built aircraft later, the Osprey remains a mainstay of marine aviation. The future of tilt rotor, however, is the V-280 Valor. Its development began with the Multi-Role Technology Demonstrator Program in 2013, and just this year culminated with the V-280 being selected as the winner of the U.S. Army Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft Program, setting the stage for the next decades of tilt rotor, next generation tilt rotors. The heart of all this development, technology, and innovation is, of course, Fort Worth in North Texas. Bell is headquartered just off of Highway 10, where the company moved back in 1951, albeit in slightly modernized facilities from what it was back then. In addition to administration and engineering, that facility includes manufacturing of rotors and composites, repair and overhaul for military customers, and pilot and maintenance training for commercial customers, and more. Just south of DFW Airport stands the Bell Commercial Business Center, housing most of the office elements of our commercial business and providing convenient access to our customers and easy travel for our employees going out to service those customers across the globe. Our parts distribution center is located near the CBC, again, providing convenient logistics for customers worldwide. Supporting the V-280 effort and defining the future of aviation manufacturing, the Bell Manufacturing Technology Center is located at the intersection of 35 West and 820. These facilities are home to about 4,000 Fort Worth-based Bell employees. Beyond facilities and jobs, Bell is also an integral part of the Fort Worth community. We are proud to have partnered with the Fort Worth Police Department since 1968 to promote the safety of our communities with Bell helicopters. The Dallas Police Department also operates Bell helicopters. In addition to community safety, we are also a vital part of providing critical health services to the community. For more than 40 years, CareFlight has used Bell aircraft to complete their life-saving operations in North and Central Texas, and these are just a few of the operations of critical Bell customers in the area. While the heartbeat of Bell is certainly in Texas, we are a global business. We have over 8,000 employees worldwide, with facilities providing sales, training, and support to our customers, providing critical services in every corner of the world. For 86 years, Bell has been creating breakthrough products that serve critical military and civilian missions. With our remaining time, I'll give you a quick run through of our products and then talk about what's coming next. So this is the current Bell commercial fleet. At the top, you see the 505. This is one of our newest products and is an entry-level, single-engine helicopter. In great use for training, it recently has been selected as the platform for the U.S. Air Force initial rotorcraft training in partnership with training company CAE, but is also used in law enforcement, and it's a great personal VIP or corporate aircraft as well. Moving down the page, but up the line, a more capable single-engine aircraft that's been around a little bit longer is the Bell 407. It's heavily used in utility and law enforcement and in HEMS as well, which is Helicopter Emergency Medical Services. The 429 is a light twin-engine helicopter, primarily used in helicopter, air ambulance, and transportation activities. The 412 has its lineage in our infamous Huey helicopter and is a medium utility transportation helicopter, also used in parapublic applications. It is robust, and if you need a helicopter to go every day in the worst environments around the world, this is your helicopter of choice. And finally, the 525 is a super medium helicopter. It is our latest product and is nearing certification as we speak. It incorporates technologies developed right here in Fort Worth, Texas. It will be the first fully fly-by-wire helicopter, commercially certified helicopter. That means instead of having purely mechanical controls, the pilot inputs the controls and the computer then sends electronic signals out to actuators that drive the controls. What this does is allow us a great capability to reduce pilot workload, increase the stability of the platform so that it can be an even more robust tool for critical operations, whether those be saving lives or going out to offshore oil rigs or offshore wind farms or in a presidential type application. Beyond that, it has advanced system architectures that also allow it to be the safest helicopter that's ever been produced. From an efficiency standpoint, it will burn less fuel than anything in its class today. So this takes us to the next generation of large helicopters. For our military products, some of these probably look familiar to you. We primarily serve the Marines and global U.S. partners around the world. The UH-1Z is an attack helicopter that is used by the Marines globally to support our troops on the ground and to make sure that they are safe and have the protection they need from the air. The Y is a utility and transport helicopter serving similar missions and often used in partnership with the Z. And of course, the V-22 is the tilt rotor that I mentioned, providing unmatched capability, particularly in personnel rescue. Historically, those missions have been served by helicopters, which is great, but when you can double the speed that you can get to go get a person, that golden hour is twice as long, right? So you're able to get there. So if you or I are hurt out in the field, we want a V-22 coming to get us. And what's next? So I've already touched a little bit on the V-280. This will not only be the next generation of tilt rotor, but it will change the face of Army aviation operations. As they transition to take on this twice the speed, twice the range of a traditional helicopter, it will change their ability to operate in different theaters around the world. The V-22 did that for the Marines, and this will do it for the Army and for our global partners. The 360 is the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft. This is a competition that's currently underway, and like for the FLRAA program, we are competing with our friend Sikorsky. Great products, but we have a history here. The first and most robust attack reconnaissance aircraft was the Bell OH-58 Kiowa, and it served that role for many, many years, and so this is an opportunity to put a Bell back into that fleet. The 525 I mentioned with its game-changing capabilities for commercial aircraft. And then finally, the high-speed VTOL. So this is a program that we're working right now, and it takes tilt rotor to the next level. So not only do we now take off vertically like a helicopter, transition to a tilt rotor, but we then fold up like a transformer and become a jet, taking that speed from double to triple or even quadruple what a helicopter can do today. This is what's beyond the V-280. And as we develop that in partnership with the US government, it's what's the next generation for our military and for those partners of the US as we go on from here. There's a lot more going on both in Bell and across the industry, but I wanted to give you just a flavor and then hopefully have a great dialogue with you as you ask some questions, and I'm happy to answer anything that you bring up. So with that, what questions do you have for me? Yes, sir. Can you have tours of the parks facilities? So all of our facilities do have tour opportunities. They have to be scheduled. You obviously have to go through a check of your status. And then for the most part, they're what's called the blue line tour. There are parts of the factory that you can see and parts that you can't see. And that's just the nature of the business that we're in. But yes, tours can be made available. Yes. So the question is, does anybody else make a tilt rotor? There is one other company that is attempting to make a tilt rotor. It is Leonardo, formerly known as Augusta Westland. Bell actually partnered with them many years back on what is called the 609. They're trying to get that aircraft certified as we speak, but there is nobody else globally that makes a tilt rotor that is either certified or in operation. Yes?
Get that one that turns into a jet that we personally to get around town. What would I look at that?
So the question is, how much is the high-speed VTOL going to cost? I would say from a personal perspective, I know there are some very well-off folks in the room, that one's going to be a challenge, right? The military-developed products tend to be pretty expensive to start with. That one is in its early stages, so we're proving out the technology, moving towards an X-plane like that XV3 and X15 that we talked about. So we're not to the stage of being able to give you a price for that at this point because we're far away from knowing what the actual price tag is going to be. I think I had one back here and then I'll come back.
I wanted to ask about unmanned helicopters. What sort of technology is going to be your next design area?
Sure, so the question is around unmanned, and maybe I'll take that and turn it towards automation and autonomy. So much like fixed-wing aviation, much of the flight, once you have a fully fly-by-wire helicopter like the 525, can be automated, right? So that's taking the pilot and allowing him to be augmented by systems on the aircraft to make it much easier to fly. That's going on today, right? When you take that to the next steps and begin to try to get full autonomy and a fully unmanned vehicle, not only do you have to fly the helicopter, but you have to do a lot of things, communicate with the ground. If it's a passenger carrying aircraft, somehow you have to deal with any instance that might come up on the aircraft itself. Let's say a passenger health emergency. So there are a lot of problems solved. Computers are great at a lot of things, right? You and I both know that Google can navigate better than you and I can, right? So there are parts that the computers today are better at than the human. There are parts that we're still solving those problems. However, from a military application standpoint, obviously there are many unmanned applications, including helicopters, and some of ours. Sure.
Technology. What are these aircraft made of? Is it fiber? Is it metal?
So the question is, what kind of technology are the aircraft made of? Is it fiber or is it metal? And the reality is it's both. Depending on the vintage, the older the aircraft, the more metal they're likely to be. But on newer aircraft, just like anything, there's not a one-size-fits-all technology. Composite materials are good at some things. Metallic materials are good at some things. So it's a matter of applying the right technologies, both from a weight, strength, fatigue, and damage tolerance standpoint, to the right applications on the aircraft. So they're both.
So I'm worried about Fred Jim may not be able to get that for a helicopter asked about. Is there any updates on a program like the Uber so that we can around?
So in terms of program updates, like with Uber, there's a lot going on in the advanced air mobility space. Our parent company, Textron, owns both Bell and Textron Aviation. So Bell, obviously, we have the vertical lift technology. Textron Aviation is Cessna and Beechcraft put together in one company. So they have a tremendous amount of fixed wing technology. Obviously, some of these vehicles look like a marriage of both. And so Textron has created what's called Textron E-Aviation to take the electric, the vertical lift from Bell, the fixed wing from Textron Aviation, and be able to pull on all of those resources to drive into that kind of space. I would say moving people around cities is not the only application. There are many potential applications for it. And I would say moving people is probably not the first one that's going to be commercially certified and available out in the field. Yes?
Is the high-speed VTOL, is that
The high-speed VTOL, is that intended to be unmanned?
So the high-speed VTOL could be either manned or unmanned, just like frankly any of the platforms that we show there. However, in today's world, as we do testing, particularly of higher risk technologies, doing some of those testing unmanned to start with makes a lot of sense. So it could be that the first one will be unmanned, but as we drive forward, developing the technology and then working with the US government on how we want to proceed into an X-plane, it could be either one. That's not yet been determined. Yes.
With your perceived growth here in Fort Worth, will you be expanding your current plant? Are you looking for new places to grow?
So to be clear, the program, though we have one, and there's an aircraft that you saw on the screen, right? That was a technology demonstrator aircraft. And what happens with military programs when you win them is that we have demonstrated what's possible to the Army. In doing that with our competitor, the Army gathered information about, oh, this is what's possible. Here's what we really want to do. So the next phase is called the engineering and manufacturing development phase, where we take the final set of the Army's requirements and modify what we did in the technology demonstration phase to get to the final product. And so for the next few years, we will be growing, but it's primarily going to be on the engineering side, and then we'll take off in the manufacturing side. So while the answer is yes, eventually there will be many more manufacturing jobs and opportunities in factories, that's a little bit down the road from where we are today. Yeah.
Okay, I just had a little FYI. My son is currently in flight school for the Army, learning how to fly helicopters. And I asked him, so what's it like flying a helicopter as opposed to a plane? And he said, think of a plane as like riding a bike. Think of flying a helicopter as trying to walk down the stairs on a bowling ball while on roller skates. So make no mistake, the best pilots in the military are helicopter pilots, okay? So second of all, I just wanted to ask, do you have any Bell helicopters in the Army right now in service? And do you expect any in the future? Which ones?
So for many, many years, Bell was the primary provider for the Army. Most of our applications today are with the Marines. The FLRAA program gets us back into providing vertical lift to the Army. There are other possibilities going forward as well, but that one is clearly in our camp today. That's the V-280, yeah.
I think there's a lot of issues with, I think, back and spine, neck issues with pilots who fly helicopters long-term. At least that's my understanding from military situations. Is that something that you're looking, improving, the personnel side, to I guess, reduce some of those long-term health issues?
So what I would say is we're always trying to make the pilot situation and the passenger situation better. If you look at the products that we have today on the commercial side, the 429 is probably the smoothest flying helicopter that there is around the world today. And that's because of some of the vibration suppression that we put into to separate the fuselage from the rotor and drive system. As we move forward with fly-by-wire and improving our damping technology, we continue to try to improve that ride quality, which is good for both passengers and for pilots.
Most of us in business are experiencing problems finding good help. In your industry, how are you addressing the workforce development and finding proper help?
Sure, and we have a couple different challenges because of the wide diversity of talent that we need, right? As we grow on the engineering side, software skill sets are a challenge, cybersecurity is a challenge. Those are common resources that are needed across multiple industries, and so we're working both with local and national schools to try to develop a stronger pipeline of that kind of skill set that we need. And then more locally, obviously, there's the hand touch force labor that we have building the parts, components, and helicopters. And it's a very skilled workforce today that is aging. And so working with Tarrant County, with local high schools, we're trying to make a pipeline to get those folks into our facilities earlier, have a co-op type program even in high school to be able to develop the talent that we need to do those high-skilled labor jobs that we need going forward. So that's some of what we're doing, but we're certainly trying to partner with our communities like Fort Worth to make that happen, and they've been great partners throughout our history.
You, as you put up the display of the various products, there was one that you called the most dependable. In my simple mind, that means that there's less dependable. So do I have to accept a certain degree of risk if I decide to purchase a different product?
So what I would say is I'm not going to comment on my competitors' products. But if you have a medium utility mission and you want to make sure you get it done every day, the 412 is your product. Uh-oh. Looks like we're timed out. Thank you all. It was great.
Michael Thacker, I have admired his work for a good few years. I've known of him, and so I'm so glad that I could squeeze him into the, you are the last program speaker of my year as Rotary president. So I'm going out with a bang. I really appreciate you being here. And you know, Textron, or Bell Textron, is such an iconic Fort Worth company. So it is a tradition of the Rotary Club of Fort Worth that we give a donation in honor of each of our program speakers. And these days that donation is going to the Rotary International's Polio Plus Fund. And there's a memento of that donation here today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
And you know, that gentleman from California, come see me. We have a long-distance Rotarian. And are you a golfer? You will be. We always joke we don't know how this goes home on the plane. You are the proud recipient of a gold-plated, somebody already told him.
No, because I already have one.
Oh, you do? So
Yes.
you're a repeat visitor.
I'm a repeat visitor, so I would say, why don't we save
Recycle
it?
it?
Yes.
I'll recycle it. Well, thank you. Like a true Rotarian. And now I want to thank our sponsor one more time. The Rotary Foundation transforms your gifts into service projects that improve lives both close to home and around the world. Its mission to help Rotary members advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, and alleviating poverty through work, capitalism, and agriculture. Your charitable donations to the Rotary Foundation are cumulative. At $1,000, Rotarians become Paul Harris Fellows and major donors at $10,000 and above. Now and throughout the year, shall we all put our money where our hearts are and give to the Rotary Foundation. Thank you, Matt Kimball Buildings. Just a few very quick announcements. Ryla, we had 5 students yesterday. Randall Howard, thank you for providing. He provided the van so they could all go in one vehicle. Akua and Yanful and Tammy Tara and Randall drove the 5 students out there. We're looking forward to getting some photos on the way back. They'll be at Tarleton State through Sunday. And thanks to you, our Rotary members, for sending those students to the Rotary Youth Leadership Award Summer Leadership Experience. Club dues are due now. The Rotary, like the Rotary Foundation, you can also give to our own club foundation. And if you give $100 per due cycle, you earn a gold name badge. And similarly to the Paul Harris Fellow, there's something called an O. Roy Stevenson Award in our club, and also a Rady Levy Award for major donors. And so we should be talking more about that, and we will. Also, Rotary Leadership Institute training is coming up on Saturday, July 8th at Rivercrest Country Club. It's $50, limited seats. At least five Rotarians have already signed up. If you're interested in learning more about Rotary, becoming more involved in club leadership, they've got 6 segments in this first. There's a 3-course series. This particular course is going to talk about my leadership in Rotary, my Rotary world, ethics and vocational service, foundation, engaging members, and creating service projects. Thank you to those who went to the blood donor drive yesterday. There is apparently quite a shortage of type O, and it seems like a lot of Rotarians have type O, so they were very excited about that. Now, my last peacekeeping reflection. I have no hesitation in saying that world peace could be achieved and made permanent if reared on Rotary's firm foundation of friendliness, tolerance, and usefulness. These words were stated by Paul Harris at the June 1940 Rotary International Convention in Havana, Cuba. And if we pause for a moment to think about the world at war in 1940, those words are perhaps even more poignant and profound than ever. And so now, don't miss next week. It's my roast, the roast toast, and there's a little too much laughter going on, and I can hear it. I already know some things that I think are going to be involved. Join us early. There's a champagne reception at 11. There's also a very special world movie premiere you don't want to miss. Don't forget that it's Juneteenth. We think of our own Miss Opal Lee as we come together to celebrate unity and freedom. And Scott Hackler, we'll be thinking of you tomorrow. One man's freedom gone. This meeting is adjourned.